So the Forge, yes, the Forge actually has a real lore. And today I'm going to tell you everything I've noticed as well as things I still don't have the pieces for. First of all, when you talk to Isaac, the guy that gives a fairly easy quest actually gives us a piece of the puzzle on the Forge's lore. When you talk to him, he says, if you pick the long story, he tells you what he knows. He says,
a century ago, this land stood as one of the greatest civilizations in the world, ruled by our king and his beloved family. But as the king grew older, he feared the death even more than anything. In his desperation, he made a decision, offering our entire land to evil spirits in exchange for eternal life. At first, he was granted what he wanted, but immortality came with a price. He became one of them, an undead, a ruler of all. Undeads. Now he commands those creatures that caused his own kingdom to be forgotten. And now we're the ones who stand between the village and the army of the dead. Day after day, night after night. I'm tired of it. If we kill him, maybe the curse will finally end. Maybe I'll get to feel the warm sun on my face without thinking about my next shift. That's our only hope. But if we fail, then everything we fight for would turn to ash.
Now just this story alone causes a lot of questions to rise. Who is this king? Where is he now? And who did he make a deal with? Based on Isaac's story, that's the reason why this place is called the Forgotten Kingdom. But there's also another person that gives a piece of the puzzle. And that person is in this tower. And no, it's not the wizard, but the wizard's assistant, Aida. If you talk to her and pick the first text, she tells you a story as well. And this is what she says.
All right. As a spell turn, I think that I can show you some things. But first, you should know where my magic comes from. It's a Virad story. It's connected to the galaxy Kusel. Strange stuff, really. They studied the flow of galaxite, and somehow my spells react to it. I never asked why. I just use it. Every time they run one of their experiments, my magic gets all sparkly and unstable. Kinda useful. Kinda dangerous. Their experiments make my magic go wild sometimes. Anyway, long before our records, there weren't even islands. Shh, someone might hear it. This stuff is only known by the highest members of the Magicians Guild. So, there was only one piece of land which all the races were living in harmony. The civilization was so advanced that they were mixing arcane with technology and such. Even the elves were helping humans. I'm not going to give you the name because he still can hear us. He was bored of peace. He always tried to manipulate the races into fighting each other. But he was always stopped by the faction and the United Races Alliance. War seemed reasonless, and everyone enjoyed the peace. Then one day, he had enough and decided to fight with what seemed enough of him. He promised to be a better person, then joined the faction. He learned their techniques, spells, and studied their immortality. One day, he disappeared without a trace. Nobody saw him or knew of him, but then everything went out of control, like really out of control. He joined the faction only to learn their summoning technique. As I said, he was trying to be immortal, and he was immortal. He had achieved it before leaving, but to summon the Archman deep from the Inferno, he managed to do it thanks to his immortal body, but he lost his body in the progress. But the price of his body was enough, so his soul never went away from the soil of this world. That's why we can't mention him with his name. From Inferno, all kinds of demons rose, tearing the world apart. As the earth was scorching, all races assembled for the last time. Our world and the underworld had the war known as the Last Galaxite War. It was so harsh that the ground was torn apart, and the mainland was splitting into thousands of islands. The reason why it's called the Last Galaxite War is because all the races blamed the humans for what had happened. And so they swore, if this war was even winnable, they wouldn't trust humans again. Now you know. Do not share this or I will hunt you down.
So from that long story, we again got another huge piece of the puzzle. And yet again questions rose. Is the person she was talking about the same as Isaac's? Where is he? Well, if you're in Discord, you'll find the developers sending leaks on the next few updates. And this cage here might be where the king is or the human that summoned the archdemon. And based on the leaks, here, this enemy looks exactly like a king. And this glowing thing looks like a heart, which brings me to the next leak. Above the video, there's a message, a strange one. And if you put it in a base 64 decoder, you get Morse code. And if you put it in a Morse code translator, you get heart, which could be the heart of the island, as in like the heart of the soul. There's also another one, but I can't figure out what it means. If you know anyone that already knows the meaning of this code, please reach out to me. My email will be in the description. Anyways, that's all I know. Like and subscribe if you ever wonder what the actual lore is and why the humans aren't trusted.